The D.C. Council has passed laws that are harmful to the residents. One of the D.C. Council members, I might add, I just indicted. All right. So corruption, of course. And, what we've got is we've got to lower the age. We've got to get rid of that, some of these laws. And we've got to deal with judges who are releasing young people because they think it's the right thing to do.
So where does the assassination culture that we're now living through, where does that come from?
It comes from a belief that has been cultivated for many years now, that it's okay to hate and then kill someone who is a leader because they're a Nazi. And, you keep watering that seed, watering it, and, it starts to bloom and it flowers. And that's where we are. The hate has flowered into outright a rejection of law and order, into we should be able to kill this person because he doesn't agree with us or because we think he's a Nazi. I mean, think about this. 30 years ago, this was lunacy. Today, it's accepted by young people.
And is that sort of the inevitable offshoot of this lax law and order that we've seen from Democrats for many years? And particularly it blossomed in the 4 years of Joe Biden.
It blossomed in the 4 years of Joe Biden because Joe Biden didn't care about law and order. The only law and order he cared about was making sure that his son and his family were protected, as evidenced by the pardons that that AutoPen signed on his way out the door. It also is a result of the fact that the hate and the division was created by the left because they knew they were losing America. They knew that they were losing middle America. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that they could do was try to convince those people who were willing to listen, who didn't or weren't willing to dig deep, that people on the right were Nazis and dictators. And I just think the fact that 78 million Americans voted for Donald Trump was proof positive that the American people know the difference between retribution and law and order. Mm-hmm. The American people know that. And that gives me hope. And that allows me to continue to work here toward a safer DC. And, there's something called quality of life crimes. And I am finding out that quality of life crimes are not included in some of the DC statistics. Okay. That means the breaking of windows, all the broken windows theories from New York City that worked when I was a DA and years ago. That has to be addressed here. And the president,
urinating in the street, smoking pot.
Yeah, smoking pot, being in a place where, you're drinking and you're not supposed to be drinking, all of these quality of life crimes. Or, just recently I heard about a case where a car was keyed, from the front of the car to the back of the car, which they say, the police said wasn't a crime. It was an incident.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of layers to this onion that needs to be peeled back to bring Washington back. But by making Washington beautiful again, you juxtapose that against the broken windows and you realize that the broken windows that we're going to start to repair and the president making sure the streets are clean, the tents are gone, gives us the illusion, if only that, of safety, but it ultimately ends up in the reality of safety.
Because people come into the street, they take over, the criminals recede.
Yeah, they had the criminals receded. Look, during the surge, there was a 57% reduction in homicides. There was a 53% reduction in burglaries and robberies. I mean, crime went down. Carjackings. Enormous reduction.
Yeah.
So this blueprint, this petri dish, should be utilized in every other blue city, whether they like it or not. Because I can tell you right now that the people in Chicago, they want safety. They want to be able to have their kids walk to school. They want to be able, look, what is the mayor's numbers there in Chicago? What are his favorables?
3% or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Brandon Johnson is the most unpopular mayor in the country.
Yes.
And Pritzker is not far behind.
And what do they want? They want to resist the president bringing in safety and law and order.
Can he do that, though, legally? There's so many legal barriers in front of him every step he takes.
Well, everything he does is being tested every day. And you know what? If I'm President Trump, I do what I have to as the president of the United States to make people safe. Let's not play games with people's lives because every day people are dying. Every day people are dying on the streets. They're being shot. Their lives are being terrorized like a thunderbolt that comes out of the sky. Their lives are never the same because someone didn't think crime was worth attending to. We do. And that is the difference with President Trump. And, he's doing it on the world stage.
With just the force of his personality.
It's the force of his personality and his intellect. He's brilliant.
Right. You've known him for many years, haven't you?
About 38, I think.
When did you first meet him and how different was he then?
He wasn't different at all. Right. I met him. My then husband was representing him, and I think I was the DA or I was a judge, whatever. And we started socializing together. And he was the same person he is today. But what people don't know about him is that when we would walk down the streets in Manhattan, he would say, this person, this is Jeanine Pirro. And I'm like, but I'm with you, Donald Trump at that point. If we went to dinner, he would go into the restaurant, into the kitchen and thank everyone and, take care of everyone, give them money. Wow. He's an incredible man. And they turned him into this horrible human being. And I know the real man. And what you're seeing on the world stage today and him in this second term is the Donald Trump, the negotiator, the guy who's fighting for you, who's fighting for law and order and safety and prosperity.
Yeah.
Prosperity.
Why has he got so much more sort of mojo this time than the first time?
It's a question that I ask a lot of people. I asked Susie Wiles that. I said, Susie, is this attributable to you?
Yeah. What did she say?
She just smiled when I first told her that. And she said, well, I don't know. But I think that the president knows. I think Butler did a lot to President Trump. I think when he got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, and he survived when he should not have, he knew that he had a mission. And he knew that he didn't have time to waste. And the fact that he's done so much in 9-10 months is clear that no one can keep up with him. No one. Right. And, you have to laugh when they were saying, with President Biden, we just can't keep up with him. Really? Yeah. I mean, you see President Trump every day.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to be working in this administration. He is giving me the tools that I need to be able to fight the good fight. And we're going back. We're looking at cases. There was a bombing in Jerusalem in 2001, 24 years ago. And the family lost a family in Jerusalem, the Sbarro pizza bombing. Family lost a 16-year-old. And they contacted someone in my office and they said, would she be willing to talk to us about the case? It's not been,
Would you be?
Yeah. Yeah, would I be? And I said, well, of course I would. And then I found out that no one had spoken to this family in 10 years.
And what's their connection to DC?
Because it's our case, the terrorism case, American citizen killed. Okay. So,
no one had done anything about it.
No.
Wow.
No. And so my job here, the president's job, is to bring justice. Mm-hmm. We've got the Lockerbie case in this office. Wow. It's coming up in April of 2026.
That was the bombing.
The Pan Am bombing in 1988 in Scotland. And that's our case that we'll be trying. I have a phenomenal national security team in this office.
Case.
Yeah. That's happening here in April. Mm-hmm. And again, we have witnesses all over the world. These are huge cases. These are enormous investigations. Yeah. Yeah. And, but, with this president, we're active and we're on it. And therein lies the difference.
And for you, I mean, it's been, you took a huge pay cut come here.
You think?
So, I mean, for you, it's really a service, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 And you're back to your roots and what you loved, which was the law. Let's go back to your childhood. You grew up in a small town in New York State, Elmira, sorry.
Yeah,
excuse
that's all right.
me. That's my Australian accent.
Yeah.
Elmira.
Yeah.
Tell us about your childhood, your parents, your family.
Well, I grew up in a small town. I had one sister, and my father was a veteran. He fought in World War II, and my grandfather as well. And my mom was a model, and
she was beautiful.
She was beautiful. And
tell her about it. Her childhood was quite miserable, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. She was born in the United States. Mm-hmm. And I'm Lebanese, of Lebanese descent, 100%. And because she was a girl, Her family didn't want her and her 3 sisters, so they sent her to Lebanon to be raised, even though she was an American citizen.
Wow.
And so she came back. Her father brought her back when she was about 19.
Did he have sons?
Of course. And they inherited the business and everything else.
So he kept the sons and sent the girls off.
Yes.
Wow.
So, if you ever analyze my career, I mean, I'm sure that to a certain extent, I carry my mother's, not baggage, but I carry it as a badge of honor in fighting for battered women in the first unit in the nation, fighting for abused children, fighting for people who don't have a voice, to the silent victims of crime.
Was she a victim of?
No, but I think she was victimized because she was not allowed.
Right.
She didn't get an education in this country. She should have been able to live in this country. She lived with an uncle and, it was very different for her. And she was a survivor and she came back and had a wonderful life. But she always made me sensitive to the needs of the victim. And when I became DA, everyone was about, locking up the criminal. And I was about, I'm going to do that, but I want to heal the victims.
Right.
And that's what kind of made me different over the years. That's why, I've got these victims. That's who I am.
So you're a tough prosecutor, but you always do that with the victim in mind.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And
is that why you started the first, I think, domestic violence unit in
the country?
In the country, yeah. So tell us about those times. When was that and what was the atmosphere?
It was 1977, I believe. The law had just been changed in New York, giving criminal courts concurrent jurisdiction with family courts to handle domestic violence. And so when I found out about that, I went and I said that I wanted to run it. And I wanted to do a pilot project. So we were one of 4 pilot projects funded by the Department of Justice here in Washington. Mine was the only that survived. And it was a crusade because—
So you were kind of a feminist.
I never used that term.
No.
I was a strong woman.
Right.
I was a strong woman who believed that a woman could do anything a man could do. And you weren't going to pinpoint me or categorize me as one or the other. But I was always the only woman in the room. I was a DA with 43 police chiefs. They were all men and I was a woman.
And did they respect you?
As an assistant DA, they would say to me if I were lecturing them, and we're going way back, they would say, honey, can you give me a cup of coffee before you start lecturing?
And what would you say?
Well, the devil over here said, give him the damn coffee and pour it on his lap. And the angel said, give him the coffee, be nice, and you'll make a friend. And so it was a very fine line. When I became the DA, there was tremendous respect. I earned their respect.
Right.
I earned their respect. I earned the respect of a county, which was a Democrat county that I won 4 times. County of 1 million people, bigger than the district.
How did you do that? Because you were elected DA, you were elected a judge.
Yeah. How did I do it? Because I was honest. When I'm not in my comfort zone, I can't communicate. I'm not a good politician. If I don't believe it, I can't say it.
Right.
My mother and my father, it was all about God, education, and country. It was real simple. We had a very simple life. Very simple. And my mother, I first wanted to be a lawyer. I used to watch Perry Mason as a kid. And they would say to me, the relatives, you can't be a lawyer. You're a girl.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm no spring chicken. So it was always a fight. It was always a fight, whether it was for battered women, abused children, victims of hate crime. I fought for a hate crimes law in New York with John Cardinal O'Connor. Here's my cardinal right here. Do you remember John Cardinal O'Connor?
Yes, of course. Oh,
that's him at a Red Mass. He and I were very close, and we got Cardinal O'Connor to join. We needed the church to help us to get the hate crimes law passed in New York. And the only resistance was from the Catholic Church. And he ended up saying, you know what?
You went over and schmoozed him.
I didn't schmooze him. A lot of people did, but he was my friend. And I miss him dearly. He's still on my desk.
Isn't that lovely?
Years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you watched Perry Mason, you wanted to be a lawyer. You go to law school and there you meet your husband.
Yes.
Al, who apparently was very charming.
He's still a charmer.
Right.
Yeah, I met him in law school. I skipped a year of high school because I was in a rush. I was always in a rush.
Right.
Yeah, I met him in the law school. And the first thing he says to me, we were at the bookstore, he says, I had a check. My parents gave me a check. So I said, how much are the books? Contracts, real estate, criminal law. He said, the books are on me.
Oh,
and I remember I was writing that. I said, who are you? He said to me, you're going to marry me. And I'm like, that's exactly what I like. Who is
you
this
just
guy?
met him.
Yeah, who is this guy?
And he's the clerk or the clerk behind the...
Yeah, he was working the bookstore to make money. And then at night, he would mop the floors at the law school. But he was also president of his class.
Right.
He was in the moot court competition.
Right.
He was one of those.
Right. So he was like you, really.
Yeah.
You met your match.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did. And we had two great kids. And
was it love at first sight?
No.
It wasn't?
Not for me. No, I didn't. For him, it was.
Right.
He'll tell you that. But, and it was a good life.
Were you ready to get married at that stage? I mean, you were a woman on.
Interesting. That's an interesting question.
Why did you?
Because I loved him.
Right.
I loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's real simple.
And did you want to have children?
No.
Or were you on a career path?
No. Waited 10 years.
Wow.
Waited 10 years before I had kids. And
why was that?
Because I wasn't sure. I was like, I love my career. He loved his career. And we waited.
And in those days, it was really, women felt they had to make a choice.
Yeah. And I made a choice.
Yeah.
And, I didn't have any. And then, as soon as we could, we did. And I had two great kids.
And what changed your mind about having children?
As I looked at my friends, not that they looked like they were having fun, but that when I got older, it would just be me. Yeah. And I wanted a legacy. You have a career legacy, but I wanted a personal legacy. And my relationship with my mother was very unusual. We were extremely close. And I wanted to have that with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I had a daughter first, and then I had a son, and now I have a grandson and 4 dogs.
Oh, lovely. But you and your husband, Albert, ended up splitting up.
Yeah.
And he was a bit of a naughty boy in the end, wasn't he? I mean, he was very successful in real estate and so on.
Yeah.
But do you think he was targeted in a way, because you were running against Hillary Clinton, you were running for office. Do you think, because he was done for tax evasion, and that's something that
2%
is often used. Yes.
2%.
2% what?
Taxes.
Ah, really?
You decide.
That is ridiculous. So they got him for not paying 2%.
Look, I don't want to get into it, but what I can tell you is this. I don't think there's any question based upon people who had previously worked with Hillary Clinton that we became friends with subsequently, who made it very clear that was a target. And you see, the Democrats,
and that's their MO.
The Democrats have always been good at this. And, it's amazing that they're like, oh, it's retribution, whatever, when, hopefully, and I believe the American people know the difference. But I think we have been so beaten down by the left that at some point we're at the place where I think people know what it is and they know the difference. And it's a shame.
Hillary Clinton, she did that to Trump with the Russiagate hoax. Tulsi Gabbard, I'm told, she was behind her being targeted on the so-called Quiet Skies TSA program. Right. This is a woman who is good at retribution and doing that to her enemies. And you were kind of patient zero in that, because
that was very early on.
You ran for the Senate against Hillary Clinton. But you had to pull out.
I pulled out. There was no question that it was not going to be a fair fight.
Why? How did you know?
Because there'd be articles written before I went to an event regarding what I said.
Really?
Yes.
Talk about fake news.
Yes, it was fake news, but I didn't know it was fake news then. Yeah, no, it was real clear to me. I was like, see, I'm a lawyer. This happens, this happens, this happens. And I'm like, these people are on another planet. Yeah. So I ran for attorney general in New York. Against
Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah. And he won, and I never said a word. I mean, that's it.
And was that a clean fight?
Sure. When you lose, it's always a clean fight. You can never, as far as I never did and I never will.
Right.
But those days are over. And that's why I'm so glad to be back doing what I do.
Do you think that if you'd been running or all of that now,
different,
you totally would have had a different attitude?
Yeah.
And is that because of Donald Trump?
Yes.
Right.
I think President Trump has changed the landscape. President Trump, I think, has taken the veil off of politics, where he now has shown us what is reality, what is politics, what is ideology. I mean,
the corruption of the media,
the corruption, the border is closed.
Yes.
No one's coming into the border. And yet we're watching this. We're watching Bill Maloogian on Fox, with the drones that the Biden administration tried to get him to take down. They didn't want the Fox drones up, to see the millions of people who are coming across the border. Thank God, I say it again, for President Trump. I mean, the border is now really closed. And it didn't get closed because someone said, don't.
Yes.
Don't. It's closed because someone had the strength to back up their directive.